The cells are the building blocks of the body. Whilst there are some major differences between the different cell types, there are some common features. Each cell is a highly organised structure with a number of complex substructures and organelles. These structures are integral to the overall functioning of the cell. First is the cell membrane. If we use the analogy of the cell being a city, which is quite a useful analogy, then the cell membrane is the city wall. It is comprised of a phospholipid bilayer that is an effective barrier against the movement of many molecules. But it is also filled with a number of proteins. Indeed, they comprise the majority of it. They function as gateways, receptors, and enzymes. The gates are often highly specific, allowing close control of what goes into and out of the cell, allowing control of its internal environment. The receptors allow communication with the external environment, receiving chemical signals and communicating directly with other cells. Within the cell membrane is the open space of the cell interior, the cytosol. This is the medium in which many of the chemical reactions of life are occurring, and the environment is closely controlled by the cell to optimise these reactions. However, it is far from an empty solution, and is full of a huge number of molecules and other cellular components that are used for cellular activity. The nucleus is the housing of the genetic material of the cell. It consists of a double-layered phospholipid bilayer with pores that allow messengers from this genetic material to leave. The DNA within it is mostly free-floating, but this has variations depending on the stage of the cell cycle, such as when the cell is dividing. The nucleolus is a region of the nucleus with a greater density of material that may be visible, especially in metabolically active cells. It represents the constructive messengers from the DNA, the RNA molecules, and so is correlated with the extent of the protein synthesis in the cell. Continuing our analogy of a city, the nucleus is the equivalent of the town hall, with all the important governance documents contained within, the blueprint of what to do. The endoplasmic reticulum is the next major cellular substructure and is also formed from a phospholipid bilayer. There are two main different types described, rough and smooth. The term rough refers to the presence of ribosomes on the surface. These are formed from RNA and core to the process of protein synthesis. In contrast, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum lacks these, but the membrane is still full of a huge number of very important synthetic enzymes, such as for lipid synthesis. As such, the endoplasmic reticulum is the factory of the cell, transforming the relevant signals, such as RNA from the nucleus, into molecular outputs. The Golgi apparatus is the next major substructure and involved in the ongoing processing of many of the molecules that were synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum. This can include the packaging of molecules for excretion from the cell. Finally, the mitochondria is another substructure with a double phospholipid bilayer. They can be considered the power stations of the cell. It is within them that much of the major energy source for the cell, that is ATP, is liberated from fuels.